Hey guys, it's God Bars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 60th episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it had, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So here we are at the last album for this group, and for Black Star's debut, I'm sort of giving it the opposite treatment I gave the Fugees, where for them I did the group album first, and then later came back to Lauren's solo album. For Yasin Bey, or Mos Def as he was known at the time, I covered his innovative solo debut already, but I'd be remiss to finish this group of classics off without Black Star in it. Besides Mos, the duo found its other half in Talib Kweli, and saying these two were on the same page is putting it lightly. This was a match made in hip hop heaven and largely assisted by the production of DJ High Tech, who would later form his own duo with Talib Kweli called Reflection Eternal. While the late 90s had its fair share of underground movements that provided an alternative to the dominant bad boy era, arguably none were doing it on the level Rawkus Records was. Just some of the classic albums other than Black Star's debut released through this innovative label include Black on Both Sides, Company Flow's Fun Crusher Plus, Pharaoh Monch's Internal Affairs, the first volume of the Lyricist Lounge series, as well as Sound Bombing 2, Train of Thought, the Big Picture, and Talib Kweli's first solo album. But sound and MO wise, the approach Black Star took was more of a return to the native tongues, Zulu Nation, Afrocentric sound pioneered by acts like A Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Queen Latifah, Jungle Brothers, Brand Nubian, Black Sheep, and even totally unrelated conscious acts from other areas like Arrested Development or Diggable Planets. This put them in a similar position to the Roots at the time, where an amount of more traditional hip hop dudes felt this positive, more political music was corny, and as I mentioned in my early De La Soul video, they seem to label these guys as not street dudes and not potentially dangerous, which I think they'd come to regret. I think now it's easier to look back at everything that happened at the time as 90s hip hop, but in reality, the same crowd who says how dead hip hop is and how they wish they were born in that era would be the same ones saying how corny it was at the time because it was underground and new. If they don't take the time to explore and show any underground artists respect currently, I don't know why they think they would do it if they were back in the day. Either way, Black Star joined acts like The Roots and Common in being categorized as backpack rap, which is a term that actually did a lot of damage to the underground scene because Koflo and a lot of these other alternative groups felt like they were being separated from hip hop and the culture they love, when their entire inspiration for rapping and being part of this thing in the first place was the 80s b-boy aspect the culture was built on. I think what separates albums like this one from the earlier Native Tongue stuff is that music chose to combat the popular materialistic side of hip hop through more just focusing on their own thing and not entertaining those topics as much. Most of Quali are a bit more direct. They don't hold any punches when it comes to where they felt the rap game was at the time or where it was headed. It's a classic example of showing instead of just telling, because rappers just saying how bad popular music is and how money and cars aren't all that matter can be very boring and overdone if they aren't saying it in an interesting way. These two are incapable of not presenting a verse in an interesting way, and they probably could not feasibly be more on the same page content-wise. Both know how to complement each other's styles, how to push each other, how to contrast one another, and most of all, how to lyrically build on the same themes. Like on the first track after the intro, both master MCs trade verses that mostly start with either the word black or star, allowing them to break down each and give you an idea of the inspiration behind their name. Or Brown Skin Lady, which combats the usual misogyny and mistreatment of women that some of their contemporaries took part in by being a bit more romantic and uplifting black women. There's also the Golden Age inspired children's story, which doesn't just reference the famous Slick Rick song and name, it also has plenty of lyrics and references playing on lines from that song that probably anyone who knows the original children's story will be able to catch. While there's hardly a lackluster verse anywhere on this thing, let alone a whack song, I wanted to share one of my favorite verses, which is from Mos Def's legendary bars on Redefinition. One of my favorite parts is when he says, "Son, I'm way past the minimum, Entering millennium, my raps they hold a gat to your back like Palestinians. Ancient Abyssinian, sure to hold the Gideon, official b-boy gentleman long term, never the interim. Born inside the winter wind, day after December 10, these simpletons they mention in the synonyms for feminine. Sweeter than some cinnamon, the Danish rings by Entenmann's rush up on adrenaline, they get their asses sent to them. Gentlemen, you got a tenement? Well then assemble it. Leave your unit trembling like herds of moving elephants. Intelligent embellishment. Follow for your element from Flatbush settlement. Skin possesses melanin. Hotter than tales of crack peddling, making 'em whoop like blue gelatin, swing like Duke Ellington. While the talented high tech did about half the beats on this classic himself, there's also legends who showed up to lend their producing talents like J. Period, Geology, 88 Keys, J. Rawls, and the Beat Miners. There's also a killer selection of features, including Common, Weldon Irvine, Apani MC, Jane Doe, Punch in Words or Punchline and Wordsmith, and Vidia Mojica, who seems to have been the go-to female vocalist for Yasin Bey and Talib Kweli, appearing on pretty much everything the two were putting out at the time. For honorable mentions, on this one, I have to shout out Astronomy or Eighth Light, Definition, Children's Story, Brown Skin Lady, KOS or Determination, and Twice in a Lifetime. As for my top three favorite tracks, those would have to be Redefinition, Respiration, and Thieves in the Night. Thank you for watching my 60th video. We're finally at the end of this massive group of 90s classics. So now I'm going back to the 2010s to share some more modern rap albums I love. So be sure to tune in to see what I reveal is the first LP for that group, as well as like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs are off this revolutionary duo's debut. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.